Yes, people, welcome back to West Ham Unofficial. I hope you are all well. Premier League football's finished. Football's finished for about a week, so we thought we'd bring you. It's probably the biggest night in darts tonight. It is the World Darts Championship final, and we are going to be talking about the final. It's Peter Wright versus Michael Smith tonight in the final of the World Darts Championship. To talk about it, I'm joined by Paul. Paul, how are you?
Very well, Jake. Yes, you're absolutely right. It is the night, isn't it? It's the big one. £500,000 for the winner for throwing a few bits of metal at a dartboard. I mean, it's phenomenal, and it's been a wonderful tournament. And yeah, excited about this match. So what's going to happen this evening?
Yeah, I think this tournament, I mean, it's been really, really good. We've seen 3 9-darters that we're going to get onto. The pearlers of matches we've seen that have gone to last sets, last leg shootouts. It's definitely not disappointed, has it?
No, it hasn't. I mean, obviously we lost 3 players through, obviously before the event, a couple of players through COVID, but as the event started at the Palace, obviously Vincent van der Voort, Chisnell, and of course Michael van Gerwen. That's it's sad, and especially for those players, and maybe it's taken a little bit away, but at the end of the day, it's given other players chances. And like I said about the last set drama. Some of those matches have been absolutely fantastic, and how those players under pressure hold themselves together is remarkable, really. But it has been fantastic, I think.
Yeah, who's been your 3 standout breakthrough players that you've seen in this tournament, and went, you know what, this year they've really impressed me?
Yeah, I like a player who's I like Luke Humphries, and he's had another good World Championship. He seems like save it for the World Championship. I mean, he made the final of the UK Open earlier on in the season, earlier on in the year, or last year now. And of course, he's now made another quarter. I think that's his 3rd World Championship quarter final. And I like Luke. I like players who just stand there and throw. And when the first start goes in, the other 2 just seem to follow. And he's so quick. And of course, another player like that, of course, is Callum Ridge. He's been absolutely well. I mean, on the tour, I think everyone knows about him, but doing it on the big stage. Another player who just literally, when that first start goes in, you think the other 2's going to follow. What a superstar he is, and he's only going to improve. And he was unlucky, really, not to make the semi-final. Of course, he got beat by Peter Wright, and another player. You were talking about 9-darters. You cannot mention William Baldwin. Obviously, that 9-darter, not just a 9-darter, but in the last leg, last set shootout. I mean, that's just the stuff dreams are made of.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous to do that under that sort of pressure. And so there's obviously lots of other players, but those 3, say Luke's been about for a little bit longer, but he's still a young man. I was working with him just before Christmas, and he was I was just watching him, just thinking, how he never looks like he's going to miss. So yeah, I think Luke Humphries, Callum Ridge, and say William Baldwin, and obviously lots of other players, but they're the 3 that spring to mind.
Yeah, definitely Callum Ridge for me. I mean, he really impresses. As you said, he stands up there and throws. And when I watched him, I watched this game against Nathan Aspinall, and he completely blew Nathan Aspinall away. And not many players can do that or have ever done that. I really like Nathan Aspinall, and within 45 minutes he'd lost 4-0, and he pushed Peter Wright well to the limit.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was a couple of sets up, and of course, what Ridge had already done, he'd already beaten Brendan Dolan, who made the final down at semi-final down at Butlins, beat Gerwyn Price. So he's on form. And of course, when you're a player like Callum Ridge, the way he plays, to play a more methodical player, no disrespect to Brendan Dolan, but to play him, he battered him as well. That was 3-0, then 4-0, and then when he lost against Wright, it wasn't like, he was distraught because he knew, and he knows he's got the game, because he had Peter Wright, and there was a massive double 9 that Wright really couldn't see, and it flicked off the fly to the darts and went in. And but at the beginning of the match, he just couldn't miss a double. Can he know he's at first leg? He's checked at 1-5-2. He's a superstar, and he's going to be great for the game as well, because we like the fast players. We like the class. We like the crash bang wallop sort of game, a little bit like we saw last night in the second semi-final.
Yeah. Obviously, this was Peter Wright. Not Peter Wright. Gerwyn Price's title defence this year. What did you make of his defence of the World Championship this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's actually gone up even more in my rank, my thoughts really, because he was under pressure against Hybrex, and he pulls out. He's one of those players who just knows how to win darts matches. If he sometimes just plays, just does enough to win. And I thought he was brilliant against Michael Smith. I know obviously he got beat, but Smith was throwing literally everything. All the 180s were flying in, but he just stayed in front 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, every time. But and he had 2 match starts, and we say, oh, he missed the match starts. Of course, he missed the match starts. But I actually think the last 3 sets, Gerwyn Price, he played better than earlier on in the match, oddly enough. But Smith, he got over the line. But that could have easily have been another Gerwyn Price, a semi-final. And I think he would have beat James Wade. And we could have been talking about Gerwyn Price in the final, but. Obviously, the crowd got on his back in whatever, and God, he takes some stick. I know he gives it a little bit on stage, but nobody deserves what those clowns do in the crowd. How they disrespect him. I just don't get it. But so he's not gone down anyway in my estimation. Really, I think it's not been a great tournament for him. He didn't blow, he didn't set the world alight, but he showed he's got balls. So fair play to him.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's get on to the 9 darters then. So, of course, the first one was the magical one. Where's it gone? There it is. With Willie Borland, and that one was just insane. The way he's another one, just stands up, bang, bang, bang. All of a sudden, he was on for a 9 in the last leg shootout, and he got it, and it was incredible.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. And then we just touched on earlier on to do it at that stage. I mean, when you think he's got the throw in the last leg, because of course in that round, of course it didn't go to 5-1 and then it decided it was 2 legs all in the first round, and so effectively he's hit a 9 with the darts, which means Bradley Brooks had to hit 6 dart leg to beat him. When of course you can't do that. So what a time to hit it. And I must admit that when when he hit his, I went out. I was out then for the day, and I just assumed he'd won that match because he looked, But how many times do we see it? He hits a 9 time, doesn't win the match, And he did. But that early day, because if I said to anyone, well, it's 2 9 darters already, I'm not sure many people would say, it's Borland and going to be Lebanowski's who would hit them, early stages in the competition, but they didn't. Fair play to them.
Yeah, and the final one did come from Gerwyn Price in that pressured quarterfinal, and yet again he didn't win the match.
No, he didn't. But if during that game, if anyone was going to hit a 9 dart, it was going to be Michael Smith. It had to be Michael Smith. The way he slams in those it had to be Michael Smith, but it wasn't, and it was Price, and it's just ridiculous. These 9 darters, you know what I mean? I mean, that's 3 in the tournament. Who's saying we don't get at least 1 this evening? Not saying we will, because it sounds easy, doesn't it? With all these 9, it's like a 1-4-7. It's snooker. You hear about them all the time, but with these players playing this evening, you may well see another one. But 3 in the tournament, God, they've been treated, haven't they? The fans up at the Alexandra Palace.
Definitely, yeah, and look. Hundreds, nearly 200 darts players went to the Alexandra Palace. Just 2 remain tonight. Peter Wright and Michael Smith. Before we get to who you think is going to win, we're going to have a look at their road to the final. We're going to start with Peter Wright. Started off in round 2 by beating Meikle 3-0. Beat Heta 4-2. A little scary ad in that game in round 3. Yeah. In the quarterfinal, he beat Ryan Searle 4-1, and then in the semi-final, he managed to pull away last night from Gary Anderson 6-4. Just that last game, especially, Gary Anderson just didn't go away. He just kept pecking at Peter Wright, but somehow, some way, Peter Wright's in the final. What do you make of his road to the final, Paul?
Yeah, I looking at his averages, 92, then 102, say 2 down against Heta, 99, 100, and 104, but. What I watched last night, and it hasn't really been mentioned too much. When obviously, I see Gary's got a massive fan base. Everyone loves Gary. He's a superstar, like Peter Wright is. And obviously, the majority of the fans, they don't really care who wins. They just want to see it go all the way. They want it to be 5 sets or 5 legs, and that's what they wanted. So they wanted Gary to win, that 10th set. He said, I think it was 104 check to break Peter's throw, knowing he's going to hold his throw the next leg and he's going to go 5-all, and was then probably, as I think Wayne Mardell on commentary said, the better player. But what happened in those last 2 legs was astonishing. Peter Wright goes 180, 91, 180. He's left 50 after 9 darts. This is under pressure. 1-0 Wolves. That's lovely, isn't it? Under pressure like that. I mean, he ends up getting it's a 14 dart leg, but Gary Anderson did a 180 in that leg as well. Then in the final leg of that set, is it going to be 6-4 to win, or is it going to be 5-all? He starts the leg with a 180 again, does Wright, against the throw, with the throw. Anderson comes back with a 180. He goes 140, and he hits a 12 dart leg, including a 116 checkout. So effectively, in 4 scoring throws, the most important legs of the match, the last 2 legs, in 4 scoring throws over those 2 legs, the first score in those last 2, we saw 5 180s, 140. Then we also saw 116 checkout. It was astonishing, and I didn't expect Gary to be averaging up 102. Obviously, we know Gary Anderson is a world class, 2 times back-to-back world champion. I thought if Peter Wright averaged 104, I wasn't completely sure that Gary would be able to stay with him. And I knew it was 3 sets to 0 down, but my God, how well did Gary play? And if he'd hit one of those double 5s in that last set, because I think he missed 2, one for 130, and there was another one as well. 5 sets all. But I'm going to go back to Peter Wright under pressure there. It's astonishing what he done. 2 180s in the second last leg, and a 180 and a 140 in that final leg, and 116 checkout. My God, that's just ridiculous. That's ridiculous. How can anyone do that? And Gary was still right on his tail as well. Phenomenal darts match. I need to watch that last set again, and especially those last 2 legs. That was just ridiculous.
Yeah, and of course we've got to put in there. He beat Rids in there as well. So look, he's beat Peter Wright has beat Meikle, Hetter, Searle, Rids, and Anderson all to get to the final. I mean, he hasn't really had the easiest of draws, but somehow. Somehow he beat Rids. Somehow he beat Anderson, because I thought towards especially the last 2 or 3 sets, I thought that's the best I've seen Gary Anderson play on the big stage for quite a while.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't play that well last year when he got to the final. All the way to the final, he didn't. But I was just so impressed with them both. And Peter, it's like Peter when Peter won the match play back in July. He was unplayable, or I think 5 matches. He had 200 averages, a couple of 105 plus averages, and 110 plus average when he dismantled Van Gerwen, and he was phenomenal there. And don't forget also down at Butlins, obviously Johnny Clayton's won 4 TV events this year, so everyone's talking about Clayton. But Peter Wright, well, it's this year, because it is. When I say this year, I still classes this World Championship as being like the part of last year. Down at Butlins, that went to a last leg decider, and with the throw, Peter Wright starts off with a 180. Then with the whole of Butlins, 5,500 people cheering on Searle because he's the local boy. Peter Wright starts the leg with a 180, and I think Ryan saw it. I think it was a 171, 3 treble 19s to leave double 12. I think it was that, and Wright has 1 dart to win it at double 16 with 5,500. People, and he smacks it in the middle. It's phenomenal, and I still think that Peter Wright is underrated. I mean, I was looking back because he was always runners up. The amount of time, and he was because he finished runners up in the World Championship to MVG. I'm looking here, 3 Grand Slam runners up. One of them, one of those against MVG, 2 against Price. He's been runners up in the World Series of Darts final twice, both to MVG, the Grand Prix, the Champions League. But there's a couple in there which are majorly important. I think in the Premier League 2017, he was 10-9 up against Michael Van Gerwen, and he goes 140, 180, 149 to leave double 16, and it's over. You think it's over. He misses 6 darts to win that. Van Gerwen wins that leg. Van Gerwen wins the last leg. and shakes Peter's hand. Peter must have been devastated. And Peter then in the I think that the Champions League of darts was 10-7 up on Michael again. Yeah, darts to beat him, 3 at double 12, I think double 6. He lost the last 4 legs. I think it was like devastated for it. Can he get over the line? But guess what he'd done? In 2017, he won the UK Open when Michael wasn't. Oh, so Michael wasn't there. It doesn't count. Well, of course it does. And then after, look what he's done now. You know, he said he's won the World Championship. He won that UK Open. He's won the Players Championship. He's won the Masters. And that performance in the match play early on in the year was phenomenal. And if he wins this, he is right on the tail of Gerwyn Price. It's a few thousand behind being classed as world's #1. And it's almost like when Peter Wright wants to play, when he gets those darts, when he chooses it and he picks them up, like he said on the interview before last night, I feel like I did in the match play. There's not a better player in the world because he is strong and under pressure. From saying how he did he fold a few years ago against Mike on those 2 finals, maybe. If he can't get over the line, I mean, now he certainly can now. He is some dart player, and if he wins this, he's got to be considered up there. He's certainly in the top 10 ever. You know, with 2 world championships. He hasn't won it, but but if he does, this bloke is he's a superstar. Absolutely love the way he holds it together as well under pressure. What a player.
Definitely, yeah. And in terms of Michael Smith, I mean, he breezed past Camp in the first round, then beat O'Connor in the second round, then got past the Wales duo with Clayton and Price in the next 2 rounds, 3-4 and 4-5, and then he beat James Wade at 6-3 in the semi-final yesterday. I mean, at one stage Smith was 5-1 up against James Wade. Michael Smith's playing his best darts of his career in this tournament. Would you agree?
Yeah, he is, and then that's another player who's obviously appeared in finals. And I'm looking here, world champion 3 years ago against Van Gogh. Of course, he lost that final. He's lost in the 2019 World Match Play, the Premier League final, World Series. So he's made major finals and doesn't seem to get over the line. But this seems like a different Michael Smith. And the 2 matches you mentioned, the 2 Welsh players. Johnny Clayton, who's as good as anyone, who's won 4 TV titles this year, last year, that was an astonishing darts match. Astonishing. A couple of years ago, Michael Smith would not have got through that game. He would not have got through. He wouldn't have got over the line, but he did. And then for the reward of playing, of course, beating Clayton, is you get Gerwyn Price in the last day. And then he performs like that again. Again, he gets over the line in the last set. And fair play to him. That was superb. But again, you think, hang on a minute, the sort of player that Smith might lose to is maybe more methodical, maybe like a James Wade. But he was great against James Wade. I'm looking at the averages, 106, 97, 100, 102, 101. This is a proper Michael Smith. And the way he hits 180s as well, like Wright, wow. I mean, the highest ever is in a match is 42. I think that could go this evening. It depends on the duration. I mean, it's only win 7-0 tonight. I think it would go. But if it goes 7-4, 5-6, then it could well do. But this is a proper Michael Smith now. And fair play to him. He's taken a lot of stick on social media over the years. Oh, he hasn't got the balls. Well, let's just see now, because I'll tell you what, to beat Clayton and Price, no disrespect to the other players, they were fantastic against him. And he stood up and was certainly counted, and he came through it. So fair play to him.
Yeah, I've always liked Michael Smith, and his, scoring's never really been a big issue for him. But no. The outer ring has affected him at times, and he's probably had a tougher road to the final than Wright. I mean, he's beat the man of 2021 in Johnny Clayton. He's beat the world #1 Gerwyn Price. He's beat James Wade, who sailed past Mervyn King 5-0, who seemed to be in some pretty good form. And I've always liked Michael Smith. I've always wanted him to do well. And when he's on it, like he is at the moment, he's incredible to watch. And I hope he beats Wright tonight, because I think that would just be it. He gets, as you said, he gets to finals, but he can never win anything. And I think this could be his year.
It could well be, and like you say, to beat those. But I mean, they're the best 2 players in the world. I mean, say Wright has turned out how he has the last couple of rounds, but the best two players in the world, I would say the two players I thought would win it, and of course then you see the draw comes out because Price was seeded number one, world number one, and because of the ranking system, the fact that even though in 2021 Johnny Clayton won 4 majors, TV titles, 3 of them were non-ranked: the Premier League, the Masters, and the World Series of Darts. So they weren't ranked events, so there's no prize, there's no ranking prize money. So he stayed at world's number 8. So in the quarter-final, Price is due to play Clayton. But of course, Michael Smith comes in, puts a spanner in those words. And yeah, he's what a monster draw to play those two and to get through the way he did, and then to do the job against Wade. Because realistically, Wade actually stepped out. I think he had a 95 average, 96, and that's pretty much an A game for James Wade. James Wade is never going to come into 107. But James Wade knows how to win darts matches. And there's a little bit last night when you think, oh, hang on a minute, 5-1, 5-2, 5-3. But obviously Smith, if you like, a more experienced Michael Smith, of course, got over the line. But fair play to him for getting to the final and setting up this match. And I think I've heard it's only the 3rd time ever in the PDC that we've got a World Championship final without Taylor, MVG, or Gary Anderson. So, but it's certainly not going to disappoint, that's for sure.
No. Come on then. Who's going to win, and what's the score going to be in your opinion?
I'm going to go just Peter Wright. Just 7-5 Wright. 7-5. With the most 180s ever. 42 is the record we mentioned earlier on. That's going to get beat. They're both going to average over 100. So long as it's a competitive game, it doesn't matter whether they're both averaging 105 or both averaging 97. As long as it's a tight game, it doesn't matter. If I'd sooner watch that and I would 112 average against an 81 average, and it's 7-0. We don't want that. That's no good for the fans. Good for the bloke who averages 112, of course. But I think they're both going to average around 102, 103, and I think it's going to be fireworks. They've got total respect for each other. It's the speed that Smith plays at, those 180s. He's almost like a Dave Chisnall, say, or we said it earlier on, certain players like a Rids, and when it just press a button, it's a 180 because it's so quick. With Peter Wright, when he throws a dart, when I used to interview him for the YouTube channel, I said, Peter, it's like every dart is a new dart. It's like he throws a dart and he has to almost like re-aim on the next dart. Some players, it's so easy because at treble 20 and just literally almost eyes closed, they can fill it up. But for Wright, it's almost like a new dart every time. So to me, it looks like he's achieving more because of when he hits these 180s. Of course, that's just the way it looks. But Smith, I mean, who's going to? I think that's a bet in itself. That's something in itself. Who's going to hit the most 180s? I mean, forget who wins the match. Who's going to hit the most 180s? That's what we're interested in. But no, on a serious note, 7-5, right? I'm going to go for, but nothing would surprise me. Whoever loses is going to get a minimum of 4 sets, and I hope they do. We don't want any 7-1s and 7-2s or 7-0s, do we?
No. Definitely not. And yeah, I think if Smith turns up with the game that he has done in the previous rounds, I do think he beats Peter Wright tonight.
Okay.
I'm gonna go for a 7-5 Smith, but if he's not right at the top, I think he's going to have issues. And if he's not clinical on the outer ring, I think he would have issues because Peter Wright just stands there, bam, 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 and it's just there.
He does. We're looking at those averages. It's not all about averages, but it gives you some sort of ideas. Apart from Wright's 92 in that first game, Smith's lowest is 97 up to 106. To get that 92 from Wright, it's 100 and there's a 99 to 104. So yeah, I just can't see him averaging less than 100. I think they're so prepared for this. I hope the crowd don't get in the way and just doing the stupid booing and doing whatever. These players are playing for £500,000 in, like I was saying, one of the things, the reason I like the sport of darts, if you call it sport, I do. So you try holding, something like that, and you've got to hit that with, 3,000 people cheer like mad behind you, and you've got to stand there. You know what I mean? The nerve to do that. If anyone's played darts, it maybe in a league, Super League, county, whatever, they will realise how difficult it is to walk on. On the hockey with people cheering. Doesn't matter whether it's 100 people or 3,000. I'm lucky enough to be in the players' room at the World Championship and then walk up the stairs, and then they open the large doors at the Alexandra Palace, and the buzz, the temperature rises like 25 degrees, and the noise in this. You've got to be a special type of human being to hold it up there. When whoever, whether it's George Noble, Russ Bray, Kirk Bevins, or Hugh Ware, whoever the ref is tonight, when they say game on, you've got to be a special kind of person, because I don't think many people could, and that's why these elite players they're playing for £500,000. So fair play to them. May the best man win, I say.
Well, exactly. I think what we want is it to be close, it to be really good, and for the right man to win. And Wolves have beaten Man United. I know it's not darts, but Wolves have beaten Man United. Ragnick's at the wheel. Thank you very much, Wolves. You've done us a favour there. But Paul, we're about half an hour away from it starting, so we're going to wrap things up. What's your final thoughts then going into tonight's match?
Final thoughts. Whatever happens, Michael Smith has gone up. In my estimation, Peter Wright has gone up there. So it's been a fantastic World Championship. We got Callum Ridge is the new superstar, even though he has, but people perhaps knew about him. William Bourne is in 9 dart checks, and the world of darts is better for it. It's qualifying score in just over a week's time. When there's the players who not classed as professionals, they haven't got their tour cards. They're trying to get one of the tour cards to, as Barry Hearn calls it, the golden ticket. To get on the PDC tour, and and at the end of the day, where can you end up? Well, you can end up at the Alexandra Palace playing for £500,000 over 13 sets of darts. It's astonishing. This final will not disappoint. No player will average less than 100, and it's going to be at least 12 sets. Fingers crossed.
Let's hope so. And the final question is, you're given one of the wild cards for the Premier League of Darts right now. Off of this competition, who do you give it to?
Off of this competition, I'm going to go Callum Ridge, because even though it can mess people's career up temporarily because it's too much too soon, but I think we've seen it, and this boy can hold it together. But give one to give a Fallon a wild card. Let her honestly, let her. The Premier League is a competition, but it's a big show, isn't it? It's a show. It's entertainment, and the atmosphere when she walks on the stage and when she plays, people say, "Oh, she doesn't deserve. She hasn't won." It's not. And they're not saying you get a run. You're in the World Championship because of. This is something different. This is a show. The Premier League is a show. And at the end of the day, if you're the PDC and you're Sky, you want to get viewers and sell tickets. And nobody sells tickets or gets more viewers than Fallon Sherrick. That's for sure. So people will moan and people will groan, but let her have it. But I'm going to say Callum Ridge, he is a superstar and he is going places, but maybe a bit too soon. But we want it. The Premier League needs to be shaken up sometimes, and those sorts of players coming in. Those two, give it to Callum and give it to Fallon, and all your viewers are going to go, no, you can't. But PDC can do what they want, and Sky, it's all about they're the ones who pay the money, so do what they want.
Let's hope that happens. But there we go. Let's hope we have a good match tonight. Paul, thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Thank you, Jake. We'll stay in contact, and next time we can talk more about football, do whatever. Enjoy the final, Jake, and we'll see you soon, mate. Thank you for your time.
We will. Thank you very much for everybody for watching. Make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel down below if you haven't already. And that's it. Thank you very much. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys.